May 31, Readings, Irenaeus of Lyons Against Heresies, Book 1. Chapter 7, The Destiny of Achamoth and the Spiritual Seed. According to their teaching, when all the spiritual seed has been brought to full maturity, their mother Achamoth will leave the intermediate region and enter into the pleroma, the fullness, where she will be united to the Savior who came forth from all the aeons. This union forms what they call the bride and bridegroom. While the pleroma itself becomes the wedding chamber, the spiritual seed, after shedding their animal souls and becoming fully rational spirits, will pass invisibly and irresistibly into the pleroma and be given as brides to the angels who serve the Savior. The demiurge, on the other hand, will not enter the pleroma, but will be assigned to the same intermediate dwelling place once occupied by Achamoth. This is also where the souls of the righteous will reside. But nothing with an animal nature may enter the pleroma. When all this has come to pass, they say the hidden fire of the world will burst out, consume all material things and be extinguished along with them. The demiurge, they claim, was unaware of any of this until the Savior appeared. A fictional Christ and a denial of the incarnation. Some among them even claim that the demiurge created Christ as his own son, an animal Christ mentioned by the prophets. This Christ, they say, passed through Mary like water through a pipe, merely using her body, but not taking flesh from her. At his baptism, the true Savior, formed by the collective efforts of all the aeons, descended upon him in the form of a dove. This divine Savior, together with the spiritual seed from Achamoth, now resided in the compound being they still called Jesus. They describe him as made of 4 parts, the spiritual from Achamoth, the animal from the demiurge, the divine Savior from the pleroma, as the dove, and a mysterious physical form created by divine arrangement. They insist that the true Christ could not suffer because he was spiritual, invisible, and impassible. When Christ stood before Pilate, they say the divine spirit left him, and only the animal and material parts remained to suffer. Even the spiritual seed within him, they claim, could not be harmed or seen, not even by the demiurge. Thus, it was only the outer shell that suffered, serving as a symbolic mirror of the higher Christ, who they say had stretched himself out through Stauros and gave Achamoth her form. Everything earthly, in this system, is merely a shadow of what supposedly took place above. How they misuse prophecy and confuse its source. They claim that the souls containing the seed from Achamoth are superior to all others and especially loved by the demiurge, though he doesn't know why. He thinks their special status comes from his own favor. These souls, they say, were assigned to prophets, priests, and kings. Through them, many high and lofty things were spoken, though the demiurge had no idea these messages came from a higher source. They divide the prophetic writings into 3 types, some from the mother, some from her seed, and some from the demiurge. Even Jesus, they argue, spoke under the influence of all 3, at times guided by the Savior, at times by the mother, and at other times by the demiurge. They interpret his sayings accordingly, fragmenting his voice in the Gospels. The demiurge misunderstands the prophets and learns from the Savior. They say the demiurge, being ignorant of anything higher than himself, was stirred by prophetic utterances but dismissed them. Sometimes he credited them to the prophetic spirit itself, sometimes to human imagination, and sometimes to deception by inferior beings. He remained in this state of confusion until the appearance of the Savior, from whom he supposedly learned everything and gladly submitted. A prosody. They even identify him with the centurion in the Gospel who said, "I too am a man under authority with soldiers under me. I say to one, 'Go,' and he goes." Luke 7:8. According to them, the demiurge continues to govern the world until the right time, especially to care for the church. He does this, they say, because he knows that his reward will be to dwell in the same intermediate realm where his mother resides. Their system of human types and final destinies. They divide humanity into 3 categories: spiritual, animal, and material, represented by Seth, Abel, and Cain. These types are not found within one person, but are distributed among different individuals. Material people are destined for destruction. Animal people may either rest in the intermediate place if they choose the better path, or be destroyed if they do not. The spiritual, which were scattered like seed by Achamoth, are being raised and nurtured here in righteous souls until they reach maturity. Then they will be given as brides to the angels of the Savior. Even then, Their animal souls cannot follow them into the pleroma. Instead, they remain forever with the demiurge. They further divide animal souls. Some are naturally good and able to receive the spiritual seed. Others are inherently evil and forever incapable of receiving it. Augustine of Hippo, The Confessions, Book 10, Chapter 10, Section 17. The three questions that cannot be sensed. When I hear someone speak of the three questions, whether something exists, what it is, and what kind it is, I grasp the sounds those words make. I remember how they passed through the air and vanished. Yet what they refer to, the ideas themselves, did not come to me through any physical sense. I never saw them, touched them, tasted them, or heard them in the way I hear a voice or a song. And yet I know them. I know them not as echoes or impressions, but as actual truths stored deep within me. They live in my memory, not as shadows, but as themselves. None of the senses claim credit, so I begin to ask, how did these truths enter my memory? I check every gate of the body. The eyes say, if it was colored, we saw it. The ears say, if it made a sound, we heard it. The nose says, if it had a smell, we received it. Taste replies, if it had flavor, perhaps I helped. Touch answers, if it had any shape or weight, I would have sensed it, but I didn't. None of these senses claims to have carried in these truths. They all deny responsibility, and I believe them. The memory holds truths that were already there. Yet I have these truths. I remember them. When I first learned them, I didn't take anyone else's word for it. I recognized them as true within my own heart. I embraced them and stored them away, keeping them in a place where I could return to them whenever I wished. They were already within me before I was taught, but they were not in my active memory. Where were they then? Truth hidden in the secret caverns of the mind. Perhaps they were buried, hidden in the deeper caverns of my soul. When someone spoke them aloud, I recognized them, not as new, but as already known. Yes, I said, that's right, that's true. How could I have recognized them unless they were already in me? They had been there, waiting. But without someone else to draw them out, I might never have uncovered them. They would have remained hidden in the secret places of my mind, unknown even to me. Thomas Aquinas, Summa Theologica, Part 1, Question 75, Article 7. Whether the human soul is of the same species as an angel. Objection. It seems that the human soul is of the same species as an angel. After all, both are simple, incorporeal, intellectual substances, and things that share a genus and do not differ by form are of the same species. Responsio, I answer that the human soul is not of the same species as an angel. Even though both are intellectual and incorporeal, the soul is naturally ordered to unite with a body, whereas an angel is not. This orientation toward the body is not accidental to the soul, it is part of its very essence. The soul is not complete in its nature unless it is united to the body. It is the form of the body. Because of this, the soul's mode of understanding is bound up with its bodily connection. It draws its knowledge from the senses, and it comes to know universals by abstracting them from material things. Angels, on the other hand, are pure intellectual beings, whose knowledge is not derived from the senses or from matter. Their intellectual activity proceeds in a completely different way, as does their nature. And so even though both are incorporeal and intelligent, they differ specifically. The soul is the form of a body and ordered toward union with matter. The angel is a complete substance, not ordered to matter at all. Therefore, they do not belong to the same species. Quick summa. The human soul and angels differ in species because the soul is made to be united with a body, while angels are not.